So first, let us look at the functional language to ask for permission. Now, you have a number of examples in front of you. The interesting thing is that you can see that each of these examples ends with a question mark because asking for permission is the same as making a request and asking a question, right? So it will always have a question mark, most of the time at least, right? So I'll just read out the examples for you. The first one says, "Can I stay here, please? May I open the door, please? Please, can I have a look at your notes? Please, may I have a chair? Do you mind if I open the window? Would you mind if I sat here? Is it okay if I go later? Would it be all right if I borrowed your book?" Now, you might have had an idea that some of these are more casual utterances and questions, and some of these are more formal. They could be used in a more formal situation. So, could you identify the more formal ones? Well, if you have thought that the last four ones are more formal, then you're absolutely right. It starts with informal to formal. So, the first two are you can say the first four are pretty neutral. I will not say that they are completely informal, hmm, but the last four are pretty formal. Now here, if you want to make a turn in formal into informal, instead of saying, "Do you mind if I open the window?" you can also say, "Mind if I open the window?" Right? So if you share a relatively informal relation with the person you're addressing this question to, you might want to drop "do you," and you can instead say, "Mind if I open the window? Mind if I sat here? Okay, if I go later?" Okay, so you could drop the initial phrase. And similarly, in the last example, "All right, if I borrowed your book?" Right? So these are some of the functional phrases which you could use for asking for permission. Now let's look at functional language for giving permission, right? So here the idea is that the response is yes to the permission. So there are different ways of showing your um, acceptance or showing your positive response. So you can say, "Yes, please do. So mind if I sat here?" "Yes, please do." "Sure, go ahead." "Sure, no problem. Please feel free." So this could be for a more formal situation where maybe two people don't know each other, and maybe one person is saying, "Mind if I use this computer?" "Please feel free," right? "Go right ahead." Then there's another usage, please feel free plus infinitive. Now, infinitive means any verb beginning with to. So, please feel free to sit here, or please feel free to eat here, or please feel free to use this computer. So, it will always have to. So, please feel free plus infinitive. Then, most certainly. Why not? Right? So these are some of the responses when the response is positive. Now let's look at negative responses where you are refusing permission. So a straightforward negative response could be, "No, please don't." A more polite one would be, "I'm sorry, but that's not possible." "I'm afraid that's not possible." This is even more formal than "I'm sorry." "I'm afraid, but you can't." "I'm afraid I'd prefer if you don't." So "I'm afraid I'd prefer if you didn't," or "I'm afraid I'd prefer if you don't." "Sorry, but I'd rather you not do that." "Unfortunately, I need to say no." This is pretty direct. Now, if you look at these structures, you'll see "I'm," "I'd." So these are called contractions. When you use the spoken language, you use contractions in English. So instead of "I am," it becomes "I am." Or instead of "I would prefer," the speaker says "I'd prefer," right? So this is a bit about the pronunciation thing which I wanted to bring to your notice.